Kamusta and hello. In this lesson, we will learn about dictionaries. A dictionary is a special Python data type that acts like a map. We can define a dictionary with curly braces as such. A dictionary is composed of key-value pairs, where the key is generally a string or a numerical. So we can have something like first key, and we use a colon to link it to its value. And we'll link it to number 423. And we'll separate our first key value pair with a comma and add a second key, and we will link it to, let's say, another string. And let's make a third key. And in this case, we will use a number. We'll use number 45. And we'll link it to another number. And we'll use a float, so 13.5. Okay. So our value can be any data type that the developer desires, right? String, float, integer, list even, or even another dictionary. Each key is linked or mapped to its value. It is important to note that dictionaries are unordered. So just because a certain key value pair is declared first, it does not mean that they will be the first value stored in memory. So let's print out our dictionary. And as we can see, we have our first value, second value, third value in perfect order, but this is not always the case. They can be completely deranged. Dictionaries are ubiquitous in the real world as they allow developers to organize their data in a structured and dynamic way that is easy to access. For example, if you want to keep a data map of your employees' computer serial numbers, which are long and difficult to memorize, such as something like, just a ridiculous string. We can create a dictionary to match user-friendly labels to their not so user-friendly serial numbers. So for instance, we can have employee dictionary, and we can have something like Bob, right? And Bob's serial number is linked to something like this. Then we can have Malory's serial number, and then that can be linked to something else like similar to this, right? Whatever, and you can go on. Now we can call our serial number dictionary as such. So let's print it out. So we will say employee dictionary, and we will use Bob. Okay, so when we print this out, you will see that we are actually getting the serial number that Bob has. So this makes it very, very user-friendly to actually access, right? If you want Malory's special serial number, then we do the exact same thing and print out the second value. Super straightforward. Developers can directly interact with existing dictionaries with the list of commands seen below this video. One of the most useful dictionary methods is the get action, which allows us to get the value of that key if it exists. If it doesn't, it will return none. For example, we can get the key of our employee dictionary with .get, and for its input parameter, we will use our key Bob. So when we print this, we can see exactly what the value is of that parameter. Okay, now what if we want to get something that isn't a key of the dictionary, right? So as I mentioned, we will get none. So we can get something like whatever does not exist, right? There's some gibberish. And as mentioned, we get none. If you do not like getting the none return, you can set a default return upon calling it. As such, simply add a second parameter to what we call it here, and our default value will be right here. And we are simply calling it default value, right? So we run it, and we can see we're not getting a none anymore. We're getting our default. The same applies if the value is there, of course. So if we run our Bob example, we can see we still get our normal value since it exists. We can view all the dictionary's keys by simply using .keys. So let's print out employee dictionary dot keys, right? And this will give us all of the keys of this dictionary, which are Bob and Mallory, and it will return it in a special form. Additionally, one can iterate through a dictionary's values and keys using a for loop. And here's how it is done. For item in, and we'll use employee dictionary dot items. And here we can say key slash value equal to item, since each of our items is actually a key value pair. And we can print out our key just so that we can see what's going on here, and our value. And of course, we need a colon over here. So let's check it out. And we can see we have the value right here for the key Bob, and the value right here for the key Mallory. We can modify existing keys. So for instance, in our for loop, we can set our dictionary based on their key to a new value, which will make something constant and actually called constant. And let's remove this. And after our for loop is done, let us print out our entire dictionary, as we can see over here. So note that our values are both changed, and they're exactly the same because we made them exactly the same. We can individually change them, of course, but this is a cleaner example. This can be done more smoothly by using the update method. So we can have employee dictionary dot update, and now we can simply use Bob and update to a new value. Say hello Bob, whatever you want, right? So when we print this after our modification, we can see we have a new value for Bob. Of course, we can also add values, so we don't always have to just modify whatever we first created. So we can have employee dictionary update, and we can create a new value. Let's call it Steve. And we will link it to a number like this. And we can add more than one value at a time. So here we have Steve, and we'll also add Jill, and we will link it to a complex number, right? So when we run this, we can see all of our new keys and values are within our dictionary. There is a plethora of ways that one can utilize dictionaries, which requires practice, and more practice. It is recommended to experiment with each of the methods listed below this video. Once you've practiced enough with dictionaries, you will become amazing at organizing your data, and this will make companies much more likely to hire you as a developer. Fantastic work on learning a brand new concept. In the next lesson, we will learn how to work with text files via Python.